Hello everyone, welcome to Drumfills Kafé. My name is Denis and welcome to the sixth and last episode of the English side of the fourth season of Drumfills Kafé. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Before we begin, I invite you as usual to check out the Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages of Drumfills Kafé, to do some likes, and of course to subscribe to those pages. And of course to visit our website, drumfillscafe.com. Tonight, two very interesting guests. My first guest is someone who has played with a lot of different artists. He's played with the likes of Leonard Cohen, K.D. Lang, The Guess Who, and Sash Jordan, just to name a few of those artists. He's also a drummer who has played at various award ceremonies, such as the Juno Awards and the Canada Day celebrations on Parliament Hill. He's also part of the jazz ensemble Manteca, who are celebrating 40 years of recording and touring last year. Please welcome one of Canada's most in-demand drummers, Mr. Charlie Cooley. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Denis. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Hope you're well. Where are you situated? Where are you right now?
I'm in Orangeville, Ontario, which is about 45 minutes north of Toronto. So it's a suburb of Toronto.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you from that area originally?
No, I'm originally from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I've been in the Toronto area since about 1980.
Okay.
I moved from Halifax to Toronto to come and go to Humber College for music, actually. So, yeah.
Cool. What made you start music and drumming? What was the eye-opening moment for you?
Well, it's something I've thought about from time to time. I can remember early on as a young kid, maybe going to parades and hearing like the pipe drumming and the bass drums and just having that feeling and hearing that vibration of the sound of the drums. I think that's really what inspired me right at the very beginning and got me interested in what is that? I want to do that.
Was it mostly like the bass drum, the snares, or the whole group that got your attention?
I think the overall effect of it got my attention. Just hearing that and sort of the precision of it, and the symmetry of it all, and just the sound, just the vibration. I was just I was really inspired by that. To this day, if I hear a pipe band or a parade band or something like that, it's like, yeah, that really gets me going.
Was that a common occurrence back in Halifax back in the day?
Oh, well, we'd have they'd have celebrations, Halifax Day or Natal Day, which was the celebration of the founding of Halifax. They'd have all these kind of parades and stuff. And it's also, there's a lot of armed forces based in Halifax. So there would be those sorts of parades and things like that too.
That's true. So there's a kind of a military background of that sort of drumming, I imagine. I'm
thinking that's true. Yes. Yeah.
So what else? What are other influences? Were you into jazz besides pipe drumming? Were you into the pop stuff back in then? Or?
Well, when I first started, I was in about grade 6 when I started drumming. I started taking lessons in Halifax. The Halifax City Schools had a music department. There was kind of an all-city department, and they had a great teacher for the percussion department. His name was Craig Reiner. And Craig was one of the principal percussionists which at that time was the Atlantic Symphony Orchestra. So Craig taught us some really amazing fundamentals, how to hold the drumsticks and rudiments and reading music and just all those really foundational kind of things that started us off. And so I took drums and percussion lessons from grade 6 all the way through to grade 12. There were various teachers after Craig had left, but that's kind of that was sort of the beginning of it.
So you already do reading rudiments, holding sticks at that young age. Wow. Like,
Yeah.
did you have the patience for it? The patience for it?
Oh, I was determined. Yeah. I mean, the lessons were from 7 in the morning until 8 before school started.
Wow.
And, you know, God bless my dad and my mom who supported me so much through that. And they'd get up early and bring me to the school and then later carrying drums around. I mean, it's, you know, it's what parents do for drummers, I guess.
So since instead of a hockey bag or a hockey practice, you're it's going to the school for drum practice.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And in that program, the city schools music program, they had like orchestras and jazz bands and ukulele groups and small jazz ensembles. So we really had some great experiences in many different genres and many different sizes of ensembles. So it was a tremendous experience and a really great foundation for me later on in my career as a professional musician.
That's amazing that you're getting all that education at such a young age. I mean, I was in my teens when I finally found a prof and started to give me some rudimental stuff and check out my hands. I mean, I remember showing up to my prof, you know, because I'm a big rock guy, and like, you know, I had like these, you know, 2-3 blasters. I'm going, yeah, I'm practicing every night. And he's like, you're not holding the sticks properly, son. Sorry. You know, and then he does this thing with his fingers. I'm like, oh, okay, I see now. Sorry.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
it's cool that you had that already at such a young age.
Yeah, so thankful for that, and yeah, so grateful to. There was a gentleman whose name is Chalmers Doan, who was the head of the city schools music program, and all the way through, and he was a great mentor and continues to be a mentor for me. So, shout out to Chalmers Doan.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Indeed, yeah.
Yeah. So when does Toronto fit in the picture? When do you go to Toronto?
Well, after I graduated high school, I stayed around Halifax for a year or so, doing, you know, jobs, little gigs, weddings and parties and that sort of thing.
Right.
But my goal was to get to Toronto, to go to Humber College and study music there. I had another mentor whose name is David James, another great drummer from Halifax, and had sort of gone up to Toronto from Halifax to be at Humber. And he was in the top band there, and he was an inspiration to me. I sort of wanted to follow in his footsteps, and so I did. And I got to Toronto when I was around about 19 years of age.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
And I guess he helped you out once you got there, or?
Yeah, Dave did help me. He had gone back to Prince Edward Island to do the Charlottetown Festival that summer. So he let me crash at his place before school started, and which was a great experience because he lived down near the Canadian National Exhibition, which was on around the end of August. Right. And across the street from that was Ontario Place, which was a wonderful venue that had just amazing acts. I got to see people like Ray Charles and Dionne Warwick and the Boss Brass and all these amazing bands. And I was sort of determined. I said to myself, well, maybe someday I'll play here at Ontario Place. And I did a few years later, which was really fun.
Did you remember that moment where you're like, oh, wow, I'm actually here now? Was that a surreal moment?
It was a surreal moment. It was a very defining moment. And I'll tell you why. When I went to see, I think it was maybe Dionne Warwick, of course, my eyes are peeled on the drummer. And in that particular venue, it had tremendous sound. And you could hear just everything that was happening. And at one point, the drummer, like, he just kind of hit the bell of the cymbal.
Right.
And I said to myself, man, that's so clear, so crystal clear. I'm hearing that. If I ever get to play here one day, I'm going to try and do that. And man, that's one of the very first things I did. Play, sound check, ding, ding. And it just reverberated through the whole concert venue. It was amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
So did you finish Humber? Did you complete it? Did you stay there, or what happened with Humber?
No. I went for about half of the program, and then I got called to do an audition with this blues artist whose name was Long John Baldry.
Okay.
Now, Long John Baldry was a guy from England, and he had a band in England called Bluesology. He was part of the Bluesology thing, and there was people like Rod Stewart in his band and Elton John, whose name was Dwight at that point. And
really, I didn't know that.
yeah, and the John in Elton John comes from Long John Baldry,
No
which
way,
people
I
don't
didn't
know that. And of course, it didn't really make the cut for the movie about Elton John for some
Yeah,
reason.
right.
But John Baldry, that was my first touring experience, and I won the audition. I left school and went on the road for a couple of years with Long John. And, it was a great learning experience, a great introduction to the touring and recording world.
And was it more of a sort of a bluesy kind of outfit, or yeah?
Yeah, it was like blues rock, really.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we got to rock out pretty good. Yeah, it was blues based, definitely blues based, but there was some pretty heavy rock. I mean, you talk about the blisters on the hands and the taping of the hands. We went through quite a bit of that before you build up the finesse.
The finesse, yeah, exactly. Cool. So now you're what age in touring? I'm curious.
So that was about maybe 20 or 21.
Wow.
It was pretty early on, and I looked so young. I looked like a child, you know. And Long John would say, "Our 16-year-old drummer," and you know, he'd make fun of it. But I was pretty young, and out of the Long John situation, my friend and mentor now, a guy named Matt Zimble, who's a wonderful conga player, and he runs the band called Manteca, which is a band that I'm in. He had heard me with Long John Baldry and really liked sort of the toughness that I brought to my playing, and he wanted that in Manteca as well. So he asked me to audition for that band, and I did, and I won the audition, and that was in 1984, and I've been in Manteca since that time.
Okay, I was wondering about that exactly, because I think now Manteca, like I said, is 40 plus years. Yeah. So yeah, that's amazing.
It's been around for a long time. It's, for people who don't know, Manteca is a 9-piece ensemble, and it started off as more of a Latin salsa kind of calypso sort of band, and it's evolved into a little bit more cinematic kind of music, depending on who the principal composers are. We've had many people come through the group who are tremendous composers, and it's always been a great challenge for me. When I'm playing with Manteca, I always feel like I'm out on the outer edge of my playing, which is a really fun and scary place to be. You know, you think you're going to make it, and you do, and it's a great, gratifying feling to get there.
Are there moments where you don't make it?
There's been a few. Yeah.
We're not going to talk about those.
Well, I think those are growing moments. It's like, okay, you know, you sometimes fall flat, and it depends on how you frame that up afterwards and get back on the horse, and maybe you might need to practice a little bit more, some different sections, or you know, and just get to the finish line, which we do. We're determined, and we get there. Yeah.
Awesome. So I didn't know Manteca was. It's been that long. So how do you do with Manteca and all these other artists, which we're about to talk to? How did you manage to be in all these situations?
Well, Manteca, there's moments like in the, you know, years ago we used to tour quite a bit, and then the touring thing, you know, to try and tour a 9-piece band, you can imagine, it's a daunting task.
It must be a challenge. Yeah.
So there's hills and valleys of how busy that band was and is, and so that opened up, you know, other opportunities and time that I could go and do other tours. In the mid '90s, you know, Manteca has always been going. Sometimes it's in the foreground, sometimes it's in the background. But like in the mid '90s, I was out doing the Amanda Marshall tour for a couple of years. She was you know, a great pop singer, and we did a world tour with her in '90s, like in the mid to late '90s, and so that I was away for almost 2 years doing that. So that's amazing. You know, Manteca wasn't really active at that moment. Yeah. So,
and talk to me about that experience of touring the world with Amanda.
Well, it was one of those gigs that sort of puts you on the map, if you will. Like, I mean, it was a tremendous opportunity. I had to audition, and I won the audition. I was very thankful for that. The album that she had recorded, Kenny Aronoff was the drummer on it, and the great and tremendous Kenny Aronoff. So to learn his parts, which I learned note for note, because that's kind of what they wanted.
Okay.
It was a great learning experience. Like his groove is so deep, his pocket is so deep, and it really was. It was right up my alley because I like playing pocket. I'm a groove player.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few chops when needed. You can bring them out, but I've made most of my living as a groove player, an accompanist. That's how I sort of consider myself. So the Amanda tour was great. There were some great tunes to play, and we got to see some really wonderful places in the world, and just very thankful to have had that opportunity. Yeah.
Very nice. Other people that you've worked with, I can't pass the opportunity of talking about Leonard Cohen. I mean, in Montreal, he's quite an icon.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You had the experience to work with him. How was that experience?
Well, the Leonard experience was tremendous, as you can well imagine. I mean, the man is an icon, and it's a bit of a funny story. He had an album out. He was just releasing an album called, I think it was called The Future. And I was doing a television show in Toronto, a variety show that was happening on Friday nights. And Leonard had been in New York the night before he was to come to Toronto and do the show with us. Okay. And I'm not sure what show it was that he was on, maybe Letterman or one of the late night shows. Anyway, the band, they're all tremendous players, but for some reason they didn't quite have the groove that they needed. It was a little lumpy, as you might want to say. Okay. For some reason or other. Anyway, so we had found out, like, Leonard was a little nervous about using the house band at this point, coming to Toronto. Little did he know that we had already rehearsed his music, like, and had it cold. Like, we knew exactly what was going to happen.
Okay, cool.
And when he got to the studio, his musical director handed out the charts, and we had sort of pretended that we just went along with it. And I counted the song in, and we played the song top to bottom. And Leonard was just so pleased and so thankful that we had put it together. And he just turned around and said, "Thank you, friends." And it's just in his kind and cool way.
And his deep voice, of course. Thank you.
It was unbelievable. Like, just to be in the presence of the man, it really was an amazing experience. And from that, since we had done such a great job on that music, at least that's our impression of it, he asked us to be on the Junos with him. He was going to be guesting on the Juno Awards later that year. So we got to work with him twice, which was awesome. It really was awesome. It's so amazing.
And another, I think it was a Blues Brothers review you were doing with Paul Schaefer. Is that correct? That
is correct. Yeah, Paul was the musical director. He's always been associated with the Blues Brothers back from the beginning.
For the movie and everything.
For the movie and everything, right? And this is a show that Judy Belushi, John Belushi's widow, had put together. The Belushi Foundation, they own the show, and they had two actors playing the part of Jake and Elwood. And so it was a show that they hired Paul to, put the band together, and he was the MD for, he rehearsed the band, and we toured that for almost 3 years. That was fairly recent. Okay. And that was a great opportunity to meet Judy and to meet Paul and to work with him. And he was an amazing musical director. He made you feel so comfortable in the rehearsal setting, and just his direction, just the way he transmitted the information to you. It just made you want to just play really, really well.
No, that must have been interesting. I grew up with Letterman, so I grew up watching Letterman and Paul just be what they're used to do, and then I could just imagine sort of playing with, like, him giving you directions of what to play, and
he knew it, like, he just knows the music and the idiom so intimately. He just, even down to the point of, like, hey, that pattern, can you change the pattern on the bass drum so that it fits with this and that? Like, he was that specific. He was that specific, particularly with some of the Blues Brothers material. So, so I was thankful to have that opportunity. He was great and very kind and fun to be around. He's Paul Schaefer.
Yeah, pretty much. I found him such. I think sometimes he was funnier than Letterman some nights. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, he's got a tremendous sense of humor. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I want to use one of your quotes, and I want you to talk about it because I think it goes to all the artists. I mean, we could go on and on about all the artists.
Yeah.
But one of your quotes from your website is, "When I'm playing music in whatever situation, I'm thinking, what can I do best for support the music?" And that your goal is to help the composition speak directly to the listener. Can you elaborate on that quote? What's your philosophy behind that?
Well, the role, like I see myself, as I mentioned earlier, as an accompanist. You know, what am I playing? Like this particular composition, whether it's an instrumental thing, a jazz thing, a rock thing, a pop thing, like what am I doing? What am I contributing to make it so that the music speaks directly to who's listening to it, whether it's recorded or in a live situation? And in Manteca, there's 3 percussionists. So there's drum set and congas and timbales, just to use an example. So we orchestrate the parts so that we create layers so that no one's in anybody's way.
Right.
And and I bring that to all the music that I play. Like, what are the parts that I'm playing? Does it fit with the music? Is it supporting the music? And if so, how's it doing that? And you know, there's moments to do the big fill or whatever. It really depends on what the music is calling and asking for. I just want my parts to read inside the music so that the listener has a great experience of the music and hears it in the way that it's intended to be heard.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Everyone's experience of music is different, so everyone's going to experience it differently. But I want to be as clear as I can in my part, you know, just so that it transmits out, just so people hear it. And certainly for the composer, if the composer has an idea, you know, I want to be able to execute that to the best of my ability so that the vision of that song or composition gets put across.
So in short, more of a team player, if you will, than being a star, if you will.
Well, music for me is a collaboration. It's a conversation, just like we're having right now. It's really no different. We're just using our instruments. I mean, it's that's it. You know, when I talk about this, I don't do a lot of teaching, but you know, we have done workshops with Manteca, and I've done a few on my own. I talk about music as a conversation. You know, the use of dynamics when we express ourselves, we're whispering or we're talking with a little more force.
Right.
You know, it's the same thing, and very much a team sport. Yeah, I mean, there are, like I said, there are moments that you can stretch out and you know, and have the limelight, but then sometimes it's time to step back. Yeah. You know that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because just a quick story that kind of elaborates that. I remember going to a clinic for Greg Bissonette.
Oh, amazing!
And well, I'm a teeny kid. I'm looking at Greg going, you know, because he just did like Joe Satriani and all these. Anyways, amazing. That's not the point. But he's saying that when he was in the back of the Buddy Rich Memorial thing, he's looking at Steve Gadd, who's next to him, and he's going, you know, Steve Gadd, and he's watching, and he's thinking, he's walking around, and he says, I'm thinking about that fill and that third bar, and I'm watching Steve, and Steve is like, no, that's too fast. That's a good tempo. And he's like, and right there, I understood why Steve Gadd is Steve Gadd, because he was thinking about the song, how it feels, yada yada yada. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's sort of seeing the overall picture. Greg does that as well, and he does it tremendously. Yeah. You know, but I can imagine, you know, being in that situation, like, yeah, you might want to be thinking about the drum fill in the third bar of whatever. There's a lot going on, I'm sure.
No, for my buddy Rich Memorial. But anyways, but it goes back to what you're saying, you know, like it's just that feel and what's good for the song and how's it going to make it feel, how's it going to project to the audience and all that stuff.
And it's very, I mean, it becomes very obvious very quickly if you're not part of the team. Like, it's just, you know, and I think that goes to, you know, the working drummers, guys like myself and like you, that we, you know, we're working because we have an understanding, a fundamental understanding of of what our role is. And I mean, there are moments, and there's drummers that have their own music and their own, and they feature themselves, and that's great. But for the most part, we're a lot of us are journeymen, and we're guns for hire, and that's okay. I'm happy in that role because I get to express myself. In situations, I don't compose a lot of music. I do collaborate on some things, but I get to express myself in small band jazz settings. I'm in a group called the Heilig Maneuver with Henry Heilig. That's a jazz quartet, and I get to play out and solo and accompany and have the conversation. So I get to stretch out from time to time.
Exactly. So quickly, you've done other stuff such as award shows. Between touring and award shows, differences, the way you prepare, what's for you? How do you do that? What's your preparation?
Well, it doesn't matter the gig. Like I get called to do, just even a top 40 gig. Like I'm going to get a pencil and an eraser, and I'm going to learn the song. Like if there's an existing drum part, I'm going to learn that. I'm going to write it out. I'm going to go to the basement. I'm going to practice the part. And that could be in pretty much any situation. For the TV thing, I love that situation because of the adrenaline. Particularly if it's live to air.
That's what I'm saying. How do you deal with the mental pressure, if you will, or do you just zone it out and go, it's my show, it's the gig, I'm thinking about the song, and the rest is,
I do get inside the music. I try not to get too freaked out. Like early on, when I was doing some television, even as a teenager, with the city schools music program, they would have the CBC cameras come in sometimes. And I remember one cameraman, I was nervous because I thought I was going to hit the camera with the drumstick. And I said, I'm nervous I'm going to hit you. And he said, you just pretend I'm not here.
Right, exactly.
And so that kind of, just him saying that was like, okay, so that's kind of my philosophy of just inside the music, concentrating on the job to get done, not really worrying about the lighting or the cameras. That's not my job. But I do want to perform at a very high, precise, and with precision and excellence. So there are nerves and there's nervousness, but you can use that energy and focus it in, right?
From the music, yeah, exactly.
Oh,
very nice. Yeah. So there's no secret. It's pretty much the same thing. Just do your homework.
Do your homework. Yeah, just learn the music, and sometimes you're thrown into a situation where you're reading, like you have to, there's not a lot of prep time. Like for example, you get on a session. It could be for anything. They're going to throw a piece of music in front of you. You have to have a certain amount of chops, reading chops, and then playing chops to be able to execute.
Do that exactly.
And that just takes years of preparation and practicing to be able to get that together.
Yeah, pretty much. Very cool. Let's spend some time on Manteca, because it is, as you say, a band that you've been for some time. There's a couple of things. I think you're 9 members. You've been playing for 4 years. I've noticed that there was one show in Montreal, 2019, pre-COVID, at the Jazz Festival, where people are just going, I won't say the word, but very, crazy for you guys. And it's a good energy. It's a great show. If you guys can check it out on the Facebook page. And so talk to me about the live show and Manteca in general.
Manteca, it's a beast. It's a big beast. It's we're actually 10-piece, and we have Lynn Tremblay comes and sings with us as well. Okay. So in essence, we're 10-piece, I guess, at this point. The Montreal show was a great comeback for us because we had played the Montreal Jazz Festival years and years before, and it was really lovely to come back and feel the energy of that festival. And man, that summer, people went crazy. Like they loved what we were doing and they were excited. And, we design our show. Every song in the show kind of has its purpose, like intro stuff, middle show, ending, the big send off, We have this percussion piece that I wrote called Fungus Among Us, which is a trio percussion thing. And the three of us wrote it together. And that's a big sort of highlight of towards the end of the show. It's the Manteca experience has been a learning thing for me ever since I've joined the band in 1984 up until this moment. In fact, last week we were at Revolution Studio in Toronto, and we've put together a web series called Road Stories from Road Stories with Manteca from Revolution, and we're bringing in special guests, and we just recorded 3 one-hour shows with special guests that's going to be released. We're looking at probably January or February, and we're going to do consecutive Mondays. So it's going to be tremendous. We've got some great guests.
Okay.
Do you know Do you know Elizabeth Shepherd? I think she's from Montreal.
It does ring a bell, but I'm not certain. Okay.
So people like Elizabeth Shepherd. We've got the band Whitehorse. We've got Clarel. There was a bunch of different emerging artists and some more established artists, and we're just so excited about this project. It's innovative. It's we're collaborating with different people. It's like I was going to say, Manteca just continues to be a great learning experience for me in every situation. So
very nice, very nice.
Very happy about it.
And quickly, I think you had a release just pre-COVID, I think, called Augmented Indifference. I think an album. How did that situation go with COVID and everything? Did it continue? Did it stop? What happened?
We did put it out, and it was more of it wasn't a full length. I think we did maybe 5 or 6 compositions for that record. I mean, just the way the business is, it's very expensive to record. We've got this 9-piece band. We just wanted to get some stuff recorded. We did. We put it out. It's not the same as it was, the business. It's very I don't know, segmented. We've got an audience. The album got released in Europe. We have some great reviews. The music has always gotten great reviews, so we're happy with that. It's a collective. We have compositions coming in from our main composer, Doug Wilde, but other people bring in music as well inside the group. So we just like to record, and we'll do it at any given opportunity, even if we can't do a full length CD. In this case, we will do one. We've got another project in the pipeline for later on in 2022, which I'm not sure if I guess I can mention it a little bit. It's up
to you.
because Manteca's been around for so long, there are members of the group that have children and siblings that have that are grown up and that are professional musicians.
Okay.
So we've got a project in the pipeline where we're going to bring any of these people that are former members of Manteca, their children, their offspring, if you will, into the band to collaborate with us. They're all professional musicians, and so we'll put out a recording with that in mind, and we'll have lots of guest collaborations from the offspring. The offspring. It's the Offspring project. Is what it is.
Not the fuck band, but the Offspring Manteca.
That's it.
So it's going to grow from a 9-piece to a 20-piece, I guess, or something.
At least 20. It'll be epic.
That's amazing.
It is.
Well, we're almost out of time. Before we go,
gosh.
it goes by fast. Where can people reach you? Where can they check out Manteca shows? Anything from you?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I've got a website, charliecooley.com. It's not a full-blown website. You can contact me there. You can reach out to me. There's all kinds of stuff on YouTube, like my work with Sass Jordan. There's some rock stuff. That was a great experience working with Sass. She's a dear friend. In fact, she's my neighbor.
Cool.
And
I'm a fan, by the way.
Oh yeah, she's.
I'm a fan of Sass. Sass has,
her
music.
She really does, and the music is really terrific.
Yeah.
some of the Amanda Marshall stuff is up on there. The Manteca stuff, we have a Manteca website, mantecamusic.com. So there's a few places that people could check it out. Yeah.
Awesome. I thank you so much, sir, for taking the time with me, and I wish you all the best with those upcoming projects for Manteca and whatever else comes your way in 2022.
Thank you, Denis. Thanks for having me on. I'm honored to be in such esteemed company. You've had some amazing drummers on here, so thanks for having me. It's a real honor and a pleasure. Thank you.
It's a pleasure, sir. Seriously, it's been the honor's mine.
Thank you.
I wish you a good night, and hope to cross paths and talk soon.
All the best to you. Bonsoir.
Ciao. All right, moving on for our next guest of this episode. Our next guest was the drummer for the Canadian artist named Luba, who is a 3-time winner of the Junior Award for Female Vocalist of the Year from 85 to 87, and is now the project manager at Pearl Drums Canada, Gator Protector Bags and Cases, and Vader Percussion at Ericsson Music. Please welcome Peter Marinzak.
Hey guys.
Hey Peter.
Good to meet you and everybody that's out there on Drum Café. Pleasure to be here. Looking forward to this. I haven't done an interview like this in a long time, so it's going to be a treat to me. So anyways, any kind of questions you want to ask me, Denis, please go ahead.
Well, how you doing first off?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, it's, I've been working remotely from home for the last... it's got to be a year and a half now since the last March of 2020 when the pandemic hit.
Right.
The warehouse is still fully operational at Jam, which is a great thing. And so we're still able to bring in, units and send, ship them out to the stores and dealers and retailers. And so, but it is, I miss the camaraderie and interaction at the office. But we get together weekly or a few times a week on Teams, and everybody still sees each other and stuff like that. So it's a little different, but it's cool. It's good.
So you have been active during the COVID. You still kept going, basically. Yeah,
when Jam decided to close down the offices there, we packed up all our stuff and brought it home. So, ever since then, we've been working remotely. And, our IT department's really, really strong and active and always very supportive of things we're doing. So, who knows when we're going to go back? We don't know yet.
Don't know. Yeah. So much to talk about. First off, I'm always curious to know, how did you start the music? Because, of course, before you were project manager for Pearl Canada, all these companies, you were, of course, an active drummer, a touring drummer, in fact, and recording drummer. So how did it start for you for music?
I think, my sister Donna is 7 years older than I was. And... she really, she was into the Beatles and Rolling Stones, Zeppelin, and all that kind of stuff, And I think in 1966, she was at the Montreal Forum and saw the Beatles perform there.
Oh, wow.
And, she used to play music all the time, and I used to hear this stuff, and it was like, wow, really, I love this stuff. And I just started banging on pots and pans and stuff like that, Used to go in the furnace room, hit the oil the oil drum as a bass drum and stuff like that. So my dad saw that I was really intrigued by drumming and loved it. So he bought me a kit, and it started from there. I played, weddings and bar mitzvahs and all that kind of stuff when I was 15, 16 years old. And I met Luba, and was always, wanting to maybe try stuff, write our own stuff to see what happens. So, and I've grown up with a lot of musicians, especially in my area and stuff like that. And, guys that I knew previously that were musicians and all around the same age as myself, like Pierre Marchand. Lived a few blocks away from me, and Mark Lyman was the original guitarist for Luba. Okay. And we just, started getting together, and my, bass player, Mike, I've known him since he was like 7 years old. So we started writing and put together a little EP. We used to go to a place in Old Montreal. It was, I forgot the name of it. It used to be right across the street from Night Magic, and
A rehearsal place, you mean?
it was actually a recording place.
Oh, okay.
And I forgot the name of it, but Mark Laschuk was working there, and he would let us come in at midnight to like 6 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And record stuff with us, and we got 4 songs together, and that became our EP that was released with Capitol Records, way back in, I think in 87 or no, 79 or somewhere around there.
Well, having studied you for the past few days, I think it was 82, I think.
Oh, 82, the first EP. So, every time, originally we were signed to to Warner Brothers, but, we were doing demos and demos and demos and demos. They were paying for it at that time, but...
To do the demos? Oh, really?
To do the demos, yeah. Okay. And then I asked them, I said, well, we keep doing all these demos. Why can't we get a deal? And they say our roster's full. And then I finally got a hold of this lawyer that I knew in Toronto, Peter Steinmetz, who was, I think, the head of the Juno Committee and all that kind of stuff, and Canadian musicians. And he said, look, you have a demo deal. You can shop this to any company if you want. Just take, the demos and go. So I originally went to New York and tried to shop it there, but nobody wanted to hear from me. And I was, I wasn't shy. I was quite aggressive at times to try to get in there, but they all said, you're Canadian, you got to go see your Canadian.
Oh, I see.
So I drove. Actually, at that time, a lot of the companies were here in Montreal on Côte de Liesse, and then I think Capitol. That's when I first went to Capitol, and I was Dean Cameron. And he heard the stuff, and he said, "Like, we'd love to do an EP right away with you, so let's do it." So it's history from there,
You got to have confidence to be able to shop around and just be able to sell yourself, which is something not every artist has. Yeah,
I think as a musician, when you create something, even an artist, when a painting or anything, when you finish it, you're really proud of it, and that's what drives and motivates someone to actually go out there and do it. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I'd be playing the Montreal Forum one day and then touring with Bryan Adams and Krista Berg at that time, and then doing other stuff with the other Canadian bands like Honeymoon Suite. We were on tour with them a lot, and so it was fun, and Frank Molina was a huge influence on me because we grew up in the same area.
Was he a drummer?
Frank Molina was a guitar player for Mahogany Rush.
Oh, right.
And he sort of, mentored me in the beginning because, he was older and he went through the ropes, and I was learning because I was 17, 18 years old and didn't really understand very much.
Wow.
But, we used to hang out in his warehouse, and he'd be working on his funny cars and stuff like that, and then, just talk about music. And then he introduced me to a couple of managers, and we took it from there,
So the industry was back then still, responsive for people to give them EPs and give them something to be able to listen to.
Sure.
And
we did really well in Canada. Certain pockets in Europe and Japan. We flew out quite a bit to Japan and played there. We always had a problem with the U.S. for some reason, and it's something I really don't want to discuss because it's, I don't know if you ever. It was basically payola and, to get your stuff on. And even though you're still with the same company as, A&R guys are competing with one another from different areas.
Really?
An A&R can be competing with an A&R in Canada, in the U.S. So it's everybody wants to do their best. You know what I mean? And even though you're under that corporate umbrella, it was kind of weird. So... Anyways, there's tons of stories I can tell you, but it's
I'm interested in the parts where you're recording and you're touring and you're playing all this music and you're playing all these places.
I mean, and then for the first couple of albums, I think Chain Reaction was Tony Green that actually did it, and then I think it was someone at Capitol. I think Dean introduced our music to Daniel Lanois. And who was doing Parachute Club at that time.
Oh, wow.
And,
yes, I remember that band.
And so he heard the stuff and he said, come out to, where was it? In don't remember. Kitchener.
Okay.
Was it Kitchener or no? God, I don't fucking remember that stuff.
But what I found from what you sent me is that it was at the Grant Avenue Studios.
That's it. Yeah, Grant Avenue Studios, and we actually stayed at Jody Mitchell's home.
Oh wow!
On the escarpment, so it was kind of really a unique experience for us. We were there for about 2 months. He was an amazing person. He really brought out the best. He would just let us go in there in the studio and keep the tapes rolling.
I see.
And just, I'd be playing something like Let It Go, just happened from like a drum rhythm that I was playing. And then he said, keep that going. And he asked Mike to come in and start playing the bass line. And, and then Luba heard it and she started, working on the chords and the melody and all. So, stuff like that. And he was really instrumental in a lot of the things we did. And he was instrumental in us to experiment. At that time I had an acoustic kit, and this is way back in the early 80s, and electronics wasn't really
coming up
back then.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, I really dig electronic drums, and got myself a Simmons SDS5 at that time. So that's was something unique, and we incorporated those things into the music, and then it got into drum machines like the Roland 808, the 909, and
right.
stuff like that, and the TR 707. There's so many things I used to buy back then. It was crazy. But I was always intrigued by the fusion of electronics and acoustics, and it just brings out other creative elements in your brain. And
it's another orchestration, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, for me, "Let It Go" is one of those songs that I love it. I just so to hear that it was to hear that you're one of the ones who was doing the drum beat. This kind of very cool. I remember. I will say also my age, but I remember hearing that song and seeing the video when I was a kid, and just being so attracted to that song. It was, I don't know, it was one of those songs I just loved. So
it's an uplifting spiritual song, I guess, in a certain way. And the video was kind of quirky a little bit, in a balloon, hot air balloon, but it was fun.
I was going to make a joke. My little kid self was like, "How did they do that? How did they play music into the heart of balloons?"
It was funny.
But it's a nice mix of both. Both shots.
Hearing your song on the radio being played, or
Well, yeah, exactly. How was that for you?
First time. That was. It's an amazing experience. It's like. It's every musician's dream to be in a rock band or a pop band or whatever, and to hear your songs on the radio and to do something that you've created, and finally it's being out there and recognized by the public and stuff like that, which was great. We were up in the top 10s, and we were doing really well. Every time I see a picture, it did really well. Storm Before the Calm. There were so many songs that we came out with, and actually, we'd go around to cities, and we started like everybody else playing at I forgot these. It's going so bad. I'm going to be 65, so it's going back a lot of years right now. So, we started like everybody else in a van, and just playing at strip bars and stuff like that. Just and then finally it got out there, and like I said, wow, this is really cool. I'm being noticed by people, and I'd be walking in. In a mall and stuff like that, and people will come up and I think you're the drummer for and stuff like that. And I said, it was kind of cool and flattering. And but we just did our stuff. I had invested in a recording studio, and it was Montreal Sound Studio that we actually took over way back.
I see.
And so I was doing a lot of projects with other bands as well, and we'd rehearse there and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun. At the beginning, when we first started, we were doing a lot of stuff out of Pro Show Audio, I think, and that was in the East End, and they gave us a little room downstairs in the basement, and that's where we first actually put all our songs together.
Oh wow!
That's when Pierre Marchand was in the band, and Mike Zwanok, or Mike Bell, the way he calls himself, and Mark Lyman, myself, and Luba. So there was the five of us, or four of us. I think five, yeah. And,
So it was really like a band mentality, a band collaboration, basically.
Yeah. We'd just go in there and we'd be stupid at times and just have a lot of fun. But things just spawn from being crazy and and that's how it just happened. And I don't think we weren't doing music because we heard other people's songs and wanted to imitate them. I think it was, organic, and creative from our own personal instincts and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was kind of cool, Towards the end, I got a little bit crazy because, guys said, well, you got to sound like John Mellencamp, you got to sound like this, and it's like, that's when things started falling apart. And there was a lot of changes back then, and
because that last album, All or Nothing, was quite good. I listened to that. It was good,
but it's a huge transformation.
It is a very different from the early '80s. It's a more acoustic,
and it just came into the band. He's a great, he's an amazing acoustic player. He's an amazing guitar player. So we went. I guess it's time. And the the surroundings around you and the musical influences that pull you towards different directions as you go along. I don't know, but it was a great experience, and touring was a lot of fun.
So how did it transform a lot from the studio to the touring? I mean, in the sense that did you change your way of playing? Did you have more fun to it, or was it pretty much the record? Or
it was pretty close to the record, but obviously we incorporated different elements. We'd go into musical breakdowns of Let It Go and percussion stuff. And,
right.
One of my favorite songs to play was Innocent.
Innocent, cool.
With an explanation. It was one of my favorite drums.
Yes.
Playing on those tracks was a lot of fun, and I remember doing the video. We were actually, what's the name of the band that opened up for us?
Oh, I couldn't help you there. Sorry.
Yeah, but
I can tell you a few bands out of my top of my head, but I'm sure I don't know if
they were huge. And all these names are slipping my mind. Cheap Trick.
Oh wow.
Cheap Trick actually opened at. We were playing at the Quebec, the Agora in Quebec City.
Okay.
So it's an open venue, and we actually filmed the video Innocent with an explanation there. And just prior to the show, we had the people that were all there. It was a sold out crowd. It was amazing, a beautiful night. And the MC for that night told the people that after the concert, we'd be filming a video for Innocent. And if they wanted to stick around, they could and participate in it.
Cool.
So we did our show. It was a great show, and took a little bit of a break. I think it was about an hour, and then came back out, freshened up and started filming. And when I walked back out, everybody was still there. And it was just like, wow, this is so cool. And those people actually stayed with us while we were filming, because I think we started filming at about 11 o'clock at night, and we were filming up until almost 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And a lot of people just stayed
there. Wow.
Interacting with Luba and asking her questions and talking to the guys in the band. And so it was a huge experience, and it was great. And, there was, if you look at the video, you'll see all those people there, doing the wave and all that stuff. And that was actually really happening, it wasn't something filmed and brought in, it was all that night. And
that's very nice.
It was a magical moment for everybody, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then, playing at all these big arenas was huge for us. We toured multiple times with Bryan Adams, and
right.
It was great because Luba used to come out and do a duet that Tina Turner did with Bryan. So that was an added feature. I forgot.
I think I know which song you're talking about, but I can't. It's out of my head.
Yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah.
And, then getting the Juno Awards was amazing, and hanging out with all these people that, like Brian at the Juno Awards, just, have a beer and talk about, music and stuff like that. And Brian was, way up here. We were just, starting sort of. So it was a lot of fun, and great memories, and, cherish those memories for the rest of my life. So it was fun. Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, for me, quickly on that note, for me, Little Salvation, Innocent with an explanation as well.
Yeah.
Let It Go. There's so many songs I think are still to this day still very good, very classic.
Yeah.
And if you guys are interested, we can see you actually playing that kit you were talking about, the acoustic and the electronic stuff as well. I think you did a show at the Spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
At Montreal. It's on YouTube if you're interested.
Yeah.
It's very cool, and you can see Peter play, very solidly for that show. It's very cool. So,
yeah, it was fun.
Well, thank you for that. Moving on to the next bit, which you are now a product manager for a bunch of companies. So how did that come about later on?
It really actually started off with a keyboard player that I really knew well growing up. I've known him since he was like 18 years old, Steve Knowles. And he used to do a lot of stuff for me at the studio. Obviously as the years go by, we sort of parted our ways. But then I found out Steve was working at Jam Industries, and he was actually product manager for all the Korg stuff.
Okay.
And it was funny because Michael Golden was the VP of Ericsson Music, was subsidiary of the Jam umbrella, and he was asking for somebody to do the web stuff, and because I got into web development and programming and learning different languages like C#, C++, PHP, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Which was something I was intrigued by when MIDI came into computers, and I got my first Atari 1040. So I really, as much as I love drumming, I was really intrigued by, computers and how they worked and the language they use and how things are put together and stuff like that. So
that's commendable, because I've tried those programming languages and it's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's kind of it's crazy, and I basically. Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'll just put this on mute. Really intrigued by that, but basically self-taught. Like I was taught, self-taught by drums. I was encouraged by other drummers on things they would show me and stuff like that. But, for programming and web development and web-based applications. I was doing that kind of stuff when I left the band because I needed some source of income.
Right.
So Steve had mentioned my name to Michael, who was the VP of Ericsson, and he said, would you be interested in doing some stuff for us? So I started doing the websites for Coast Music at that time, for Ericsson Music, for, all kinds of stuff. And it developed from there, and I still maintain and do all the sites for for if you go on CorkCanada.com, or if you go to EricssonMusic.com, or Can Play Music, which is a site we launched. Basically, we merged data, or actually bringing feeds from all posts that we do or stuff like that, and you can filter by brand, you can filter by category. So Can Play Music has been an active thing that we've been doing, and it's sort of engaging the community of artists or musicians out there to go into one central location
to find all these different companies, Pearl, Vader.
It could be on Pearl, it could be Nord, could be Korg, Vox, Marshall, stuff that we're doing and introducing. And then we also do a lot of promotional maps and stuff like that. So when we're selling in stores, if there's a map promo going on, we post that up. We do a lot of giveaways. For example, this month we're going a Vox AV15, which is a modeling amplifier we're giving away. So stuff like that. Just, we do things like that just to increase our, followers and our likes on, social media, because it's important to engage with your people.
Yeah.
So it's been really, doing well. So when I got introduced to Michael via Steve, I started working, but I was working as freelance and just on, consultational basis and doing stuff with it. And then Michael said, I've known you for years and, about your history and about playing. Would you be interested in one day, maybe taking on a percussion product manager line? And I never did that kind of stuff. So it was I said to myself, well, yeah, maybe. But I knew Paul Frederick at that time was the product manager. And I said, well, I understand Paul's, the product manager. How can I be, he said, we just take care of percussion. And I said, okay, and then somehow, some way, Paul had a falling out with Michael. And so Michael said, take on Pearl. And I said, what? And he said, I'd like you to be product manager for Pearl Drums. And it was, it was a little bit, obviously, learning curve for me because you're dealing with, I knew Excel really well, but dealing with numbers and making margins and stuff like that, and how everything plays into it, like the currency, how that affects us. When we're bringing in products from the because we buy everything in U.S. dollars, so we have to be careful what we're doing. Okay. Try to map or match pricing in the U.S. stuff like that. So there's a lot of different things. So creating formulas and make sure they work. And
that's interesting because that's stuff I wouldn't know that that's what involves in the job. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's so I do all the price lists. I do all the price. I'm in contact with all our reps in Canada. If there's any dealer or stores that are dealing, want to do something or stuff, they always go through me and I approve or disapprove things. I generally approve a lot of stuff because I like to make people happy. I guess that's one of the parts of being a musician, right? You want to make people happy.
Yeah. You know the other side, right?
Yeah. So, happy to work closely with Steve, and who's actually now the VP of Ericsson Core Canada, which is I've known him so long. So we have a great camaraderie, and we've known each other, and we're even though we're business people and work together, and we're very close friends as well. So he's creative, I'm creative because we have both that musical background, so we feed off each other and do things and stuff like that. So it was a little bit of, for sure, it was a learning curve in the beginning, but now it's I've been going at it now for 15 years, so it's
congratulations,
amazing. And I brought in Vader Percussion because we were looking for a stick line. I actually met Alan Vader at NAMM, and I knew that his dealings with Daddario, he was unhappy, and I just met with him, and I said, we went out for a beer and talked about business and stuff like that, and I said, we would love to be able to take on your line. I think we're one of the best distributors in Canada, if not the best in the world at what we do. So we got that, and obviously Gator Cases, when it was in back then, and Peter Patrick was the VP of Ericsson at that time. He had left because he retired, and I took over Gator, which is kind of cool too because they're a great group to work with. They also have a percussion end of stuff for bags and cases for drums and percussion units and stuff like that. But it was also a learning curve for me because I'm not really a guitar player, but learning all the cases and all that kind of stuff that apply to keyboards, guitars, all that kind of stuff. So, all in all, I must have about 10,000 SKUs that I manage. So it's a lot.
So if I ask you a question, like, do you remember the Pearl BRX or something?
Yeah. You're working with model numbers and stuff like that every day. You start to remember everything.
That stuff.
It just sits in your head somewhere. I don't know what the fuck it does, but you're working in Excel and you're looking at the stuff, and you just got to keep up with it. And so products change and then being replaced by something else and stuff like that. So yeah.
But just to be more clear on your everyday stuff, are you also the person that takes care of, say, an artist who comes, say, to the Montreal Drum Fest, like an Omar Hakim comes to Drum Fest and you have to provide his drum set? Yeah, you're that person as well.
Yeah, I do. Basically, Rene Adolph was with us for many years, and he used to work closely with me, bringing in artists, and he actually did most of the artist relations back then. And then when he left, I took over. So, but even back then, I was at every festival. I was coordinating, like bringing in Omar Hakim or, Dennis Chambers or Mike Mangini or Will Kennedy or El Negro, just bringing all these people.
Pretty much all my heroes.
Yeah. So, I mean, dealing with these guys, Ray Loser was, we had a blast with this guy on the road. And, every artist is amazing in their own certain way and stuff like that. So, and even for myself, it was like, starstruck by meeting these guys after, I've known, listened to Denis stuff, listened to this, and it's like, fuck me, man. I wish I can play half as good as he could, and stuff like that. But these guys are monsters and are, just incredible people and great musicians and just really amazing to deal and hang with. So, setting up the gear and making sure everything works.
Everything's worked, yeah.
So it's a lot of fun and it's great. And they're working with, the Quebec Drum Fest with Ralph Alginolino. That's been an amazing experience for us. There's so many in-store clinics we do constantly and stuff like that. Obviously, we haven't done anything in the last year and a half since COVID.
Right.
But hopefully, be able to go back out there maybe next year or the year after. Who knows? But I love to be out on the road, interacting with people, and seeing young drummers watch these superstars at drumming, and being intrigued and amazed by what they can do and stuff like that. And then, they're all like Brian Fraser Moore, and it's just some really great players. So a lot of fun and just a great hang because I'm always with the artists. During that whole period, if we do 5 or 6 clinics during the week, I'm with that artist every day of the morning, day, and night. So it's
you're dedicated.
Yeah, it's fun.
You're a dedicated representative.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I go above the 8 hours a day that we were supposed to work, but it's part of the job, and there's perks, obviously. Getting backstage to the shows, getting my daughter tickets to performances, and her friend. So it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of perks that go along with it, and so I enjoy it. I don't know how many more years I can do that, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I got to ask the question, of course, if somebody is interested in Pearl Drums and wants to be part of the community and wants to, be part of the family, how does it go? How does it work for you guys to have an artist, and how is that relationship? Well, you've described a lot about the relationship, but how's it for a new artist?
For a new artist, basically, I get artist requests from up and coming young musicians in Canada, and basically what I look at is, I'll tell them I need some kind of bio, social media links. If there's any content on YouTube and stuff like that, I can look at, and if they're really active and stuff like that, it's really important to have a good social media presence.
Okay.
Definitely, look at their bio, look at stuff like that, see if they're socially active on media and all social media platforms. And they're just, there's some drummers that are amazing players, and who knows where they're going to be in a couple of years from now. They could be playing in a cover band, but they're still amazing. I see that, that creativity and that drive to do something. So even people like that, I really, seriously consider as a Pearl artist for Canada. But there's a lot of factors that are involved and play into it. So I take a look at all those things, and then I say to myself, well, is this somebody worthy of being, part of the Pearl roster in Canada? And I say yes or no, and that's it. Basically. But I try to encourage a lot of people because I know what it's been, being a player most of my life, and never being really endorsed by anybody back then. I know Yamaha had turned me down, and so I changed the names of my drums to Yo Mama.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there's a couple of videos where we actually see Yo Mama, but got simple endorsements, sticks endorsements, but for some reason, was a little bit hard to get the drum endorsement. But it was cool, had a great relationship with Steve's Music, and we used to buy all our gear there and stuff like that. So we got pretty good deals. And Lenny's always been, I've known Lenny at Steve's Music for most of my life.
Right.
Since I was 15, and just, going in there and stocking up on everything that we needed for tours.
For the tour, right?
Everything, basses, amps, this, that. I used to go in there and buy, audio gear, and because they had opened my studio, so buying this, buying that, So we were making money, but we spent a lot of money on gear,
Yeah, like that's part of touring life, exactly.
Yeah, it's like a little kid going into a candy store. $5, he'll buy it all up.
No.
So I go into the music store, and it's like I just want fucking everything,
Yeah, I know. I went in for just a drum skin for a show this week, and I came out with other stuff. So
yeah. It's always like that.
But that's interesting. So basically, it hasn't changed in the sense that the person has to be active and the person has to be, of course, a good player and everything. It's just changed sort of more into also part of the social media aspect of it, of course.
Absolutely.
That's part of the being sponsored. So that's cool. That's interesting. And you said the COVID didn't hit did it hit the industry a bit? COVID.
We were all frightened at the beginning when it actually started happening, because all our dealers started closing down, right? So it's what is going to happen? That's a whole supply chain and is going to be broken, and so
did people still bought like online at least? Or
yeah,
something?
those dealers that had online presence did really, really well, and I think one of the biggest thing is, we really surpassed our expectations about what sales would be like during COVID, but they were astronomical. We probably had one of the best years in years before that last year.
Wow, interesting.
Because people were staying home and, working remotely, and they want to learn instruments. So
exactly.
They bought a guitar, they bought a keyboard, they bought this, they bought an electronic drum kit, they bought acoustic drum. It was just amazing. So we were really, really, really super fortunate to be able to be active and to make sales and stuff like that, because that's how we make money, and that's how we're able to distribute and bring in more stuff and bring it out to the stores for the public. So we were really fortunate for that. So
that's good. That's good, because you keep hearing that online is killing basically the little stores, the little mom and pop shops, and even hurting Steve's or Long and McQuaig. Is that really the case? Is that really
for sure? You got huge guys like Amazon that eat up stuff, but to be honest, musicians really are hands-on people, a lot of them. Obviously buying a pair of sticks or something, that's different. You'd like to go try the stick, but some guys just buy it. It doesn't matter if they tried it or not. But guitar players or drummers, they want to hear or try it. So I think it's a totally different experience when you're going into a Steve's Music or Lon McQuaid or Cosmo Music or Dave's Drum Shop or Just Drum, or Rufus Drum Shop in Vancouver. There's that one-on-one, and then you're able to speak to the salesman who basically know what each brand has to offer, because they're all great drums. Everybody makes amazing drums, but it's based on your personal choice, what you're looking at, hardware, what intrigues you to that hardware, how it's made and stuff like that. So one-on-one is really, so those guys who had the presence online continued to do well.
No, it's true that you still have that sort of tactile / wanting to hear, wanting to see, even sometimes even wanting to smell, I guess, of the instrument and just how it looks in person before. Yeah, I think that's true.
It's totally different when you still look at a picture and then you go into the store and actually see it in daylight or natural lighting and stuff like that. So I would never buy a drum kit online. Maybe for my child, if I was looking for something as a beginner kit, entry level, definitely do it. But as a pro player or somebody who's really serious about playing, I would definitely go to my local music store and try them out and look and see what they look like before I actually buy it.
Well, quick, maybe a suck up moment, maybe I'll admit, but that's what happened with my Pro BRX back in the day.
Right.
I saw it at the store.
Yeah.
I tried it out a bit, and I was like, and that's it. And I still have that kit today, so I don't think I'll sell it. But yes, but the Birchmaster ones. So I know what you're talking about when the actual shopping at the store sort of thing.
Yeah, birch is an amazing species because it's just works on every floor surface. I don't know why. You can bling on concrete or a wood floor surface. It just sounds fucking great all the time. So.
I've had just compliments about that kit, and I think I'm a good player, but I think the kit is also part of the equation. For me,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, tuning any kit right properly and getting good heads, they'll make it sound pretty good and stuff like that. But obviously, when you have a wood shell that sings and hoops that work, that's huge. Yeah.
Cool. So quickly, what's coming up for you in 2021, 2022 in terms of products and whatever else going on?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's going to be new product releases. Obviously, for 2021, there was, Pearl's 75th anniversary, so we brought the President Series kit back, which is doing really, really well. I'm really pleased about that. I'm always kind of a retro guy. I like looking at old kits and stuff like that, and I was always wanting to get myself an old Pearl with the old original Pearl logo and stuff like that. So the President Series came back, and it's really hopefully I'll be able to grab one before we sell out, and that there's always news. The Stavecraft snare drums came back out, so there's all kinds of stuff that's happening, and then there's going to be new product releases for 2022. Doing that, and then maybe hopefully I hope to be able to back on the road in 2022 with some artists and to go back and do some clinics. I know we're looking at, I think it's a go for the Quebec Drum Festival, and
I think so.
April 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so we're looking at Brian Fraser Moore to bring him in.
Cool.
I just got to confirm all those things because he's really active. He's not going to be touring. I don't know if Justin Timberlake's going back out, but he's doing a lot of stuff with Ed Sheeran right now and tons of other artists. So and he's a great player, and obviously an amazing person to hang out with, and he enjoys a lot of the stuff I enjoy, like sushi, and so we'll have a lot of fun together, Yeah.
So in a way, the road has never really left you. In a way.
No, yeah, it's funny you say that because we're I'm back out. I mean, obviously I haven't been out in the last year and a half, but kind of like it was when I was touring, going to different cities, eating out, and interacting with people. So it's kind of did a full circle right now. So
that's cool. I think we'll stop there. It was very cool. Thank you so much, Peter. So I wish you all the best. I hope to see you maybe just at the Drum Fest, because I am wanting to go as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And thanks so much for all the info. Thanks for all the stories. And I wish you a good 2021, 2022. I hope everything's still good for you.
Yeah, Denis, thank you so much for providing me with this opportunity, and it's been a pleasure to meet with you and talk with you and stuff like that. And everybody at Drum Café community, continue supporting Drum Café, and all the best to all the musicians out there. You don't have to be just a drummer, but anybody who plays music is somebody who's part of the family.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better.
Right.
Talk soon. Take care of yourself, Peter.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Ciao. So there you go. That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much to my two guests. Thank you so much to you for being with us tonight. And thank you so much for being with us throughout the entire season number 4. If you've missed an episode, I invite you to go back to drumfillscafe.com to watch previous episodes. So thank you. That's pretty much the end of the season. Again, thank you so much for being with us throughout the season, and wishing you a happy and safe holidays, and come back in 2022 for season number 5 of Drumfills Cafe. Take care, you guys, and all the best. Ciao.